The Aldis podcast is brought to you by Aldis International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our ServiceNow series, where we interview the best and brightest of the industry to share their story, advice, and views on the exciting world of ServiceNow and digital transformation.
Hi everyone, it's Mark Kelly, Chief Customer Officer and co-founder of Aldis. I hope you're doing really well wherever you are in the world today. I've got the absolute pleasure for our ServiceNow podcast series within Federal to be speaking to Ivy Ryerson. Ivy is a principal strategist at Inspire Value at Federal. Ivy, thank you very much for joining us on the show today.
Hi, good morning, Mark, and good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me this morning.
Ivy, if we jump in to your background firstly, because I think that's very, very
Sure.
helpful. And then we can talk a little about your day-to-day role and what that actually encompasses. And then later, if we can talk a little bit more about the type of companies and government bodies that you're working with. And then we can have some additional questions after that.
Sure, that sounds great. So I come from about a decade of work in digital transformation. Right out of grad school, I came into the IT management consulting world kind of by accident. I didn't go to school for that. I have a marketing background, but I landed in a systems integrator, small business systems integrator in the federal government, and started working in federal civilian government agencies around digital transformation and kind of studying how we build operating models and strategies for implementation and adoption of new tools and technologies to help drive efficiencies and improve citizens' access to services in the U.S. federal government, and also improve the way employees deliver those services. ServiceNow, I came from a large consulting firm, right to ServiceNow, who was a big partner of the consulting firm. I've been here a little over a year and still working in the federal government space.
Brilliant. Thank you for that overview. So we dive into a little bit about your current role and the type of federal government bodies that you're helping to support. Tell us a little bit about them and also the importance of digital transformation across those different bodies, because unless you're living under a rock, people can see the real need for this.
Right. Yes. So I serve and work alongside of the high impact service providers. So that would be U.S. Federal agencies that are delivering services to some of our most vulnerable parts of the population. So if you think of agencies like the Social Security Administration or Health and Human Services, those are two big ones, and those are massive organizations that deliver very critical services to the public, and that's kind of been my focus. My role here at ServiceNow on the Inspire Value team is to help organizations build the business case to justify the investment in new capabilities to drive the efficiencies and the greater experiences that they desire. So that's, that we call that a business value assessment. It's really the business case that articulates the return on investment and the desired outcomes and aligns with the strategic direction of the organization. The other side of that coin is, so that helps organizations figure out, okay, if I'm going to invest in these new capabilities, what I want to make sure that I can report to my leadership and use taxpayer dollars wisely in these investments. Let's make sure we're tracking to the return on investment. So the other side of that is the work that comes post-implementation, really being there with the agencies, with the folks who are managing the platform and driving organizational change management, making sure that they're recognizing value there.
So by understanding the bigger mission, and we're going to talk a little bit later about kind of walking in their shoes and some of the people who are actually doing the role day to day, you're looking at that strategic value for the business, but also understanding that it needs to justify its ends and kind of making sure that it's accountable rather than just introducing a technology, because we've all seen the challenges of technology adoptions if there isn't necessarily a bigger picture to what you're looking right to achieve, and then working with the organization to ensure that it's successful, we get the outcome that you want. And as you mentioned, it's it's taxpayers' dollars, so people want to see the accountability and real value for money.
Right. Yes. That's a good point. Yes, it is taxpayer dollars, and we need to make sure that that we're not just organizations aren't just buying the latest, flashiest thing. Like, does this technology that the organization is investing in align with the strategic direction? Does it meet the goals of the organization? Have we clearly defined the challenges that we're trying to address with these new capabilities? And and once the answer is yes, and we decide, okay, we're going to invest in these capabilities, it's a team sport. It's not one group of implementers or system integrators that are going to go in and configure things the way they need to be. Yes, certainly that's very important, but it's really a people problem, or a people challenge, if you will. You've got to get folks comfortable, sometimes moving off of legacy systems onto the new technology. You have to make sure that there's adoption of that technology, and that it's actually improving the experience of the way services are delivered, whatever the challenges were in the first place. And so these are huge decisions and very complex rollouts, if you will. And that's what the ServiceNow team is there to do. It's not just, here are some licenses to some enterprise software. It is a massive undertaking and a journey, really, with our customers to make sure that what they've invested in is actually solving for the problems that they had in the first place.
Yeah, and solving for the problems that they have in the first place, but also solving for, you're anticipating future problems or
Yes.
challenges or things that we don't necessarily see now, that
Right.
actually
Yeah.
you
Good
might
point.
you might want to utilize certain products or modules, but actually as the business progresses and becomes more advanced, you'll probably want to start to use additional services or offer additional services too. Tell us a little bit about, and I call it, design thinking, or you're leading with empathy, about how you've been able to actually kind of walk the shoes of some of the people that you help serve.
Yeah, so I've been really fortunate to have been immersed alongside of the employees who are actually oftentimes struggling with the tools and the processes that are in front of them in order to do their day-to-day jobs. One example is I spent quite a bit of time running focus groups and doing shadowing at a large federal benefits agency at their call center. These are massive call centers that are taking hundreds of calls from folks who sometimes it's patients, sometimes it's benefit recipients, folks who need answers to questions and they need them quickly, and oftentimes it's critical that that they've got their problem solved. And so for a few weeks, I spent actually sitting alongside of a call center agent with just, I had the headset on and I could hear the caller call in, and what I noticed was the call center agent had multiple screens and multiple tools in front of them, but they were moving in and out of, in a very clunky way, in and out of these different tools that weren't connected to each other. And the caller, we'll call them the customer, who has a question, had to actually restate. This might have been their fourth or fifth time calling about the same issue, but they had to restate why they were calling, because there was no single system of record of the history of what that caller had called for in the past. And then the call center agent is trying to move through disparate systems. At one point, they would actually reach in their drawer and pull out these pieces of paper that they had printed off answers from Google to common questions that people would ask that they needed to have answers to, that they couldn't find on the systems that were in front of them. And so to me, as a strategist in transformation, that there was tremendous opportunity to first and foremost simplify what the employee had in front of them in terms of the tools they had to do the job, to answer the question, to resolve as quickly as possible, and maybe on first call resolve the problem that the customer called with in the first place.
So you can imagine, because you're under pressure. I can see both sides of the fence here. So let's say you're the agent. You're under pressure to try to answer the query as effective as you possibly can, but you've got all these different open systems. You can imagine they're probably going quite slow. Then you have to summarize quickly by gathering all the contact commentary and actually seeing what the thread is, and then being able to speak to that person where you don't know if that information has been updated correctly. You don't know which is the newest version, and that person wants an answer, and they could be driving their car. The reception could be bad. They might have a young child in the background.
I heard all of the above.
Yeah. So this is how real life works. Or their battery's running low, so they need to make sure that this call.
Yes, or more critically, and this did two times. One person who called in was homeless. And so their opportunity at that moment to call in and request information about benefits that they need is critical. They're borrowing a phone. They don't have access to, it is a dire situation. Yes, being in a car is challenging and all of those things. But at the end of the day, there are people that one phone call really matters. Another woman was actually calling from a rehabilitation center, and she had just a few minutes to make a call, but she's got to spend time going through her case again because that information isn't available to the agent who's trying to provide help and resolution to the problem.
Yeah, because when you give that context, that call, it becomes very, very important to that person. Also very important to that agent, because they want to do a really good job of serving and to help. And that's why they're actually in that job. So being able to help, that really helps you clarify the problem you're looking to try to solve, what good looks like. And maybe you can kind of share how that kind of transformation added value.
Right. Yeah. Without diving, too deep into the technical end of it, which that's not, believe it or not my area anyway. Even though I'm in technology, I'm not a hardcore technologist. But what we were able to do was go in, and it's not a matter of rip and replace all of the legacy systems or the ecosystem of tools that's there. Oftentimes what you want to do is go in and be able to seamlessly integrate with some of the tools that are already working. They just aren't providing a single system of record, or one common platform for the agent to just be in front of their computer and access information very quickly. And then the next agent, the next time that customer calls in, has the same experience, the same availability to that record, to the information. And so what we were able to do was go in and, yes, sunset some of the legacy systems which really weren't providing value, or perhaps had very high total cost of ownership and operations and maintenance and security issues and upkeep. But we're able to go in and provide one single system, one platform, one system of record, and then the tools that we're working, we integrate with them and create greater efficiencies there. And now what you have is the current state of the employee, the previous current state of the employee, where they had disjointed information and limited access, and quite frankly just frustration in understanding the nature of the caller and what they needed, and not being able to help them. These people who, as you pointed out, who work in these positions, it is a labor of love. They want to help. They understand that it's critical that they provide the information as quickly and as accurately as possible. So with that transformation, with being able to provide, one common platform where the employee could seamlessly go. Now, fast forward, 6-8 months down the road, we go back and we do that call shadowing again, and it's a very different experience. And there are, not only is you can see it in the employee's face and you can hear it in their voice, you can see the way they're seamlessly solving the challenges or answering the questions. But quite frankly, there are metrics associated with that. We're looking really carefully at first call resolution and employee experience. So some more quantitative in nature and some more qualitative, but is the customer, the benefits recipient, the patient, Is their experience improved? And so that to me is why I do this. That's really important. And we can do it. We have the technology, not just we, but the system is there, and the changes can be made, and it can provide immediate impact, and that's fun.
It's a great example of so many people's lives positively affected. The dominoes experience of getting that tech right, because the deep frustration when things just don't work right, where your Wi-Fi is down a little bit, or your system's running slower,
Right.
or whatever it might be. These little frustrations that really can escalate from people from being productive, and people want to be productive. They want to allow them to do that next best action, and this is a wonderful example of it in action, and being able to go back and see it play out. I can bet it's probably quite a proud, humbling kind of moment.
Yes, definitely. And the ServiceNow platform is unique in that way. Not to just focus on that, but since I'm with ServiceNow, that one common platform. That's my experience as well, right? Because I work here and I'm on one common platform all day long. And for me, it's about efficiency and being able to move through my day in a very productive and enjoyable way. I want to enjoy the tools that are in front of me. It's the same for our customers, for the federal government employees. They want to come and have a pleasurable experience and feel like they're empowered with the tools that actually allow them to do their job in the best way possible.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you very much for your time. You've been listening to the All This ServiceNow podcast series within Federal, and I've had the pleasure of speaking to Ivy Ryerson. Ivy is Principal Strategist at Inspire Value Federal. Ivy, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Aldous. Appreciate it. Appreciate it to your listeners, and have a good day.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the All This podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.allthis.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.